Warning, this video contains mild spoilers for the Tales from the Stinky Dragon campaign, Grotethe. You have been warned. Hello YouTube and welcome to Prime Productions. I'm here to help enhance your tabletop gaming experience. If you're new to this channel, I primarily cover Paizo tabletop role-playing games like Pathfinder and Starfinder. And of course I have a Patreon and Discord, more info at the end of the video. So, quick question to all you viewers. Have you seen these YouTube shorts before? How about these? If you have, you probably know them as the Tales from the Stinky Dragon. If not, well, I'll take a second to explain. Tales from the Stinky Dragon is a Dungeons & Dragons podcast. It originally started off as a branch of Rooster Teeth, that company that did Red vs. Blue back in the day, but now Stinky Dragon is independent. All of their episodes are available online, but I will say they aren't much to look at. There's no maps or minis or anything like Critical Role. There is a bit of post-production with a few sound effects and stuff, and the staff edits out table talk as far as I can tell, but the podcast seems, for the most part, pretty genuine to me. Now, if you want to listen to a D&D podcast, I will warn you, Stinky Dragon may not be your style. Their campaigns are very silly. It's full-on terrible dad jokes all the time. That's why I personally love it, but I understand it's not for everyone, so make sure you know what you're getting into. Now, you may be wondering how these puppets I showed factored into this. Well, Stinky Dragon's main claim to fame is that they take snippets of what happened in their games and reenact them with puppets and then put them on YouTube. They've gotten surprisingly good at their puppeteering. Their puppet videos actually became so popular that they made some longer form content, like whole 12-minute episodes and everything. They've also done some more traditional animation too, but the puppets are the things that really got them on the map. So I've been listening to their podcasts, and I thought it would be interesting to try and do my best to convert these characters into Pathfinder 2nd Edition, as I am wont to do. So let's look at them. Now, as of the posting of this video, they have done 2 campaigns and are working their way through a third. Their most popular campaign is their first campaign, the Infinites campaign. Here's the thing, that campaign makes some choices that just don't work well for Pathfinder. Mud here makes ample use of Wild Shape, which goes beyond what Pathfinder's various form spells can do, and Gum Gum's ability to have weird wild magic barbarian rage powers just don't translate well into Pathfinder. So I'm going to translate their second game, Grotethe, into Pathfinder. So Grotethe is a campaign setting that is basically based around a silly version of old Universal monster movies. It's a land where the Wolfman, Frankenstein's monster, and the Mummy and others rule over respective cities. Anyway, the main characters get accused of murder when someone kills off the Wolfman, and then the PCs are forced to track down the real killer and their dastardly plot. So let's look at these characters, but before I get started, a word here. It is revealed later on in the series that fully 3/4 of the player characters are undead. However, they are still healed by normal healing spells, which just doesn't work in Pathfinder. So I'm going to make some real strange and probably controversial decisions here. Just remember, if I'm not taking the easy and obvious answer, it's for a reason. If you're fans of Grotethe, you may be thinking you know exactly what build I'm going to do, and I may surprise you. Also, I won't be able to perfectly replicate what is in their D&D character sheets. I'm going to try and get as close to the heart of the character as possible, so let's get going. Oh no, one last thing. I'm making 4 characters today, so I'll be doing this lightning round style. I'll just give some information about the D&D character, then I'll show how I would make them in Pathfinder. I'll list the ancestry I'd choose, heritage, ancestry feat, background class, subclass if appropriate, and finally any special considerations. The first and easiest character we are going to talk about today is Chip Haney. Chip is from Wisconsin. That's where all the wizards come from. Hey, I warned you this was full of terrible dad jokes, right? Anyway, Chip has exactly 2 personality traits, and I am fine with that because he's actually my favorite character in the series. The first character trait is that he has this Minnesotan, Wisconsin, South Canadian style charm. He's very affable and he talks like this.
There's no such thing as a mean dog, only a mean owner. Okay, those are mean dogs.
This is contrasted by the fact that he was and greatly enjoyed his work as an assassin. Now, he insists he only ever killed bad people, but it's just funny to hear a nice, kindly Wisconsin accent talking about how they're going to assassinate targets. Chip's other big thing is that for most of the campaign, he's looking for his wife, Carol, who was also a retired assassin. And let me just say, I wish I had someone who cared about me as much as Chip cares about his wife. He is completely devoted to her, and even though it's kind of a joke in the wider meta sense of the show, there's something beautiful about that love. Chip is a tiefling or part fiend rogue. He has an Assassin's Creed style arm blade, and surprise surprise, his D&D rogue subclass is assassin. Other than that, there's not really much we need to discuss about him. He's pretty straightforward. For Pathfinder Chip, his base ancestry is going to be human, and then we'll give him the Nephilim or part fiend versatile heritage. D&D Chip has dark vision, so for Pathfinder Chip, I'll go with the Nephilim Eyes ancestry feat to give him dark vision. For background, there's only one that works, Mantis Scion. This is a background for people who train to be Red Mantis assassins, and it gives Chip the stealth skill, assassin lore skill, and assurance skill feat for stealth. And yes, Red Mantis Assassin is a Galarian thing. You'd have to reflavor it to like Dagger Assassin, as Dagger was the name of Chip's old assassination society. For class, honestly, there's no reason to change him from Rogue, and yes, I would make him a Thief Rogue. Honestly, it's just kind of the best option. As for special considerations, yes, if you wanted to, of course you could go into the Assassin archetype. But, as Nonat1 pointed out in his video, Assassin isn't great. I'm more interested in figuring out how to do Chip's arm blade thing. Now, there is an Assassin's Creed style arm blade in Pathfinder called the Bladed Gauntlet, but it's not all that great. I might just give Chip like a dog slicer and flavor it as an arm blade. Like, the principle is the same, draw a weapon as an action, extend the arm blade as an action, it's all the same. Or you know what? Sleeves of Storage could work, just hide the dog slicer in there. And if you're wondering why I'm going with dog slicer, well, it's like a short sword, except it has the backstabber trait, and if you go into the assassin archetype, that archetype kind of thrives on having the backstabber trait. Just make sure your GM is okay with it, as dog slicers are uncommon. Next up we have Barney Farney, who is just fun. He's an old man and maybe senile, but it may be a case of obfuscating stupidity. You know that thing where someone pretends to be senile so that others leave them alone or don't argue with them? Here's an example.
Well, everything's a baby in Chip size.
Including Ellga?
You're the babyest baby, Ellga.
Okay.
What about me? You are the ugliest baby.
Also, Barney has a walker with like mace heads attached to its feet, which is just funny. Like, I think mechanically he just has a warhammer, but he flavors it as his walker, and yes, we are going to work that in. Barney's big backstory, which we find out late into the game, is that he is actually dead, or undead, but his feelings of guilt were so strong that it kept him on the mortal plane as a sort of revenant? What were those feelings of regret? Well, he used to be a farmer, but one day a vampire attacked his family, and he was too scared to go and try and save them, like paralyzed with fear, and now he blames himself for not saving his family. Afterwards, he felt so guilty he trained himself to be a cleric to go fight the vampires, but kind of forgot himself in the process, and yes, he started as human, but his clerical training took so long that he became a sort of undead revenant thing. For Pathfinder Barney, he starts off as human. For his heritage, though, I'm going to use Starfinder's versatile heritage of corpse folk, which just kind of turns Barney into a generic undead. So yes, he gains the undead trait, including void healing and being hurt by vitality energy, but don't worry, I have a solution. And for his ancestry feat, I'll grab the corpse folk feat Red Eye, which gives Barney dark vision because D&D Barney had dark vision. For background, Barney was explicitly a farmer, so I'll grab the background Farmsteader. It gives Barney the survival skill, farming lore skill, and forager skill feat. Now for class, I'm going a bit off course, and instead of making Barney a cleric, I'm going to go Oracle. I'm doing this for a number of reasons. Firstly, Barney's maybe senility makes him act not so wise, but he's still very kind and affable. Also, this perfectly represents the fact that Barney doesn't really know where his powers come from. Also, this allows me to take the Bones Oracle subclass, which gives Barney the Nudge the Scales class ability, which lets him count himself as having either Vitality or Void Healing at the start of each day. This allows him to have Vitality Healing, overriding his Corpse Folk Void Healing thing. There, boom, counts as undead, healed by Vitality effects like the heal spell. Lastly, any special rules? Well, first off, if you want Barney to wear some better armor like he does in the series, you'll probably want to spend his level 3 general feat on armor proficiency to get him up to medium armor. Also, to recreate Barney's walker, Pathfinder does have an option. You could grab the Traveler's Chair, which is like a super wheelchair that can go upstairs and stuff, and attach a reinforced frame which lets Barney do bludgeoning damage with his chair. And there you go, a mobility aid that he can attack with. Just reflavor it as a walker and not a wheelchair, and you're good to go. Next up, we have Ellga von Brath. Ellga is an interesting mix of having a kid's sensibilities, but actually being quite old and experienced. She sounds like this.
You know, if you guys just wanted to leave me here, I'd be okay with it.
Anyway, she is affable and probably tied for the kindest person in the party with Chip. Oh, also she's a vampire. Now, Ellga leans into the classic trope of the vampire that was turned as a child and is now stuck as an immortal like 11-year-old. So yeah, she's a child half-elf vampire, but also she's a barbarian that uses great axes. Okay, this is going to be tough. I'll do what I can, but spoiler alert, mechanically she's going to look a lot different than her D&D counterpart. You can reflavor what you want, but no, mechanically at least, she will not be a half-elf vampire. Starting off right off the bat, we are veering into left field, and I'm going to make Ellga a gnome and not a half-elf. Not only does this make her small-sized, but it also lets me grab the feat Animal Elocutionist. This lets Ellga talk to bats, which she can actually do in the series. For her heritage, though, we need her to be undead, but also healed by vitality energy, and we can't pull the oracle trick again because she's not an oracle. So I'm going to have to go with the Starfinder Versatile Heritage Borai. This versatile heritage makes you undead, but you retain the vitality healing ability as if you were alive. For background, Ellga was actually raised as vampire royalty, or at least nobility, so I'd grab the royalty background. Now this is rare, so talk with your GM. This gives Ellga the society skill, courtly graces skill feat, and she can leverage her social status over people who recognize her, which she does a lot when the party visits her hometown in the series. As for her class, D&D Ellga is a barbarian, and we can do that in Pathfinder. And yes, I'm going to go with the class archetype Blood Rager for Ellga, which lets her drink blood and all that, so that's her vampiric stuff taken care of. Also, as a Blood Rager, Ellga gets a few spells that she can cast. She can even cast them while raging, which is something that D&D Ellga can do. She can also pick up a few utility spells like Vermin Form, which, when cast as a 4th rank spell, lets her turn into a bat. This does come online at level 12, which is later than when D&D Ellga gets it, but D&D is a lot more fast and loose with flight, so what you gonna do? Also, Blood Rager is a big and complicated class archetype that I won't get into right now. I'll just put it up on screen so you can pause the video and read about it. But wait, Ellga still needs a bite attack to represent her vampiric bite. Well, guess what? There is a Starfinder weapon called Ivory Chompers that are just like combat dentures. Give Ellga a pair of those, convert them into Pathfinder weapons instead of Starfinder weapons. That's a really easy conversion, by the way. And you're good to go. And yes, I know that there is a vampire archetype, and no, Ellga isn't going into that archetype. That archetype would change her back into void healing, so it wouldn't work for this build. Also, Ellga can walk in sunlight, which is something vampire archetype vampires can't do, so no vampire archetype for Ellga. Finally, we have Mathilde Confiseuse. Mathilde is a very arrogant French-inspired bird person, but also a ghost. Also, they're a baker. They always act like they are above every situation, and they are quick to throw their friends under the bus, but I think it's all an act. They always act to defend the party and never seriously consider leaving them behind. I think mostly their arrogance and verbal barbs are just that. It's verbal sparring. Now, if you can't tell, Mathilde leans very heavily into French stereotypes. He's arrogant, is a baker, has a ridiculous French accent.
Mathilde Confiseuse, who's an Eric Cochran ghost monk.
Mathilde, sadly, gets the least amount of backstory throughout the series, and the backstory we do get comes in at the very end and is pretty spoilerific, so I think we're just going to move on to the mechanics stuff. From a character sheet perspective, Mathilde is an Aarakocra or bird person. They're an astral self monk, meaning that they can punch and kick people, but also like summon ghost arms to attack their foes. This couples very well with the fact that they're an actual ghost, or should I say ghost-ish? Mathilde has some ghost-like abilities, but they are also solid most of the time and actually have blood. So, no, we won't be going into Pathfinder's ghost archetype for them either. Starting with Ancestry, I know most of you are expecting me to make Mathilde a Tengu or Awakened Animal, but I'm actually going to have to go with Strix for purely mechanical reasons. You see, any Strix can get flying feats as early as level 9, whereas Tengu need a special heritage to get their flying feats. And for Mathilde, I'm going to need to use their heritage for Borai. Just like Ellga, this nets them the ability to count as undead, but still heal as if they were a living creature. And for feet, let's grab Fledgling Flight, which gives Mathilde a 15-foot fly speed, but they have to land in between each move or they fall. Pretty simple, pretty easy. For background, Mathilde is a baker, specifically specializing in French baked goods, of course. While it's a little wonky, I'd grab the background street food vendor, which nets Mathilde the crafting skill, cooking lore skill, and seasoned skill feat. And yes, the seasoned skill feat makes them better at cooking. Get it? Seasoned food, seasoned the skill feat. Yeah, Paizo made that joke. For class, Mathilde is a monk, and I see no reason to change that. Monks don't normally get a subclass, but Mathilde made ample use of some monk weapons like a spear made out of their kitchen supplies, so I would grab monastic weaponry. If you wanted to replicate Mathilde's astral monk arms that they can manifest, I recommend getting Jellyfish Stance, which, while silly, gives Mathilde a reach with their unarmed attacks. Just flavor it as astral arms instead of jellyfish attacks. That is a level 8 monk feat though. Lastly, if you make it to level 18 with Mathilde, the chi spell Embrace Nothingness would let them pass through solid objects, something that D&D Mathilde can do. And finally, any extras for Mathilde? Well, just make sure to use their ancestry feats to grab Juvenile Flight at level 5, this makes their fly speed 25, though they still have to land in between each move action, and then finally Fully Flighted at level 9, which gives Mathilde a full-on flight speed. Boom. Done. Anyway, that's all I had to say for the Stinky Dragon Adventures crew. If you wanted to check out their adventures, I will link their YouTube page below. Also, let me know if you would have built them any differently. Just remember to be civil in the comments, there's a real person on the end of that computer screen. Hey, as a reminder, I have a Patreon. I'm going to try and post something fun there once a month, but honestly, it's just a way to help keep this channel financially viable. Just a few bucks a month, and I'm toying with the idea of adding a limited higher tier where you can request a specific video. Let me know what you think. And of course, I have my own Discord server. Drop by, I would love to talk to you. And make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. That tells not only me, but also YouTube that you like this kind of content and would like to see more. And until next time, thank you, good luck, and happy gaming.